Can a return to its roots be the shot in the arm Volkswagen needs?
They've decided to backpedal and reinvent. It's almost a case of the house is on fire.
Changing consumer needs, especially in China, have exacerbated the stress the German car maker is under.
What car people are used to is that they're focusing on the product. What tech companies are used to is focusing on the user. This is a culture thing, this is a mindset thing.
But the brand has an ambitious restructuring project they believe can help them return to their glory days.
Our ambition is clear. Volkswagen will become the world's technologically leading volume manufacturer by 2030.
Is VW's future being decided right now? Rev takes a closer look. Volkswagen, maker of the iconic people's car, intended as an affordable, everyday runabout for the ordinary German, and now one of the most recognizable cars in automotive history. Manufacturer of a machine that was once the best-selling car in the world. Practical, dependable, affordable. Europe's benchmark hatchback with more than 37 million sold since it launched in 1974. And the brand that introduced the Polo to the world, a machine synonymous with German engineering. An entry-level V-dub for millions of drivers across Europe and beyond. And a brand whose success was never built on luxury or exclusivity, but by making cars within the reach of the masses. Cars people grew up with, that families trusted, and that often proved the adage, good things come in small packages. For decades, Volkswagen perfected their formula: recognizable design, robust engineering, and consistency across generations. It was ingrained in their brand identity and became an irrevocable part of their legacy. But in a changing landscape where EVs and software led the way, Volkswagen's attempt to reinvent didn't quite work. Now the brand is trying to return to its roots. Is this the way forward? And can its legacy help bring Volkswagen back to the top?
It's all about leveraging their strong brand equity, brand heritage.
Enter the ID Polo. After years spent promoting futuristic electric branding on the ID3, ID4, and ID5, Volkswagen is now pivoting back towards an emotionally familiar identity. And this car, the company's new affordable electric hatchback with a price tag of around 25,000 euros, is the clearest example. It's VW's latest iteration of the people's car, and it signals a return to their roots in more ways than one. A car that's small, relatively inexpensive, and truly for the masses. Exactly the foundation VW was built on. And a machine that brings back a sense of tactility inside, with buttons and knobs replacing touchscreen and gesture controls. When the concept debuted in 2023, it was called the ID2 All. But Volkswagen has opted to depart from its alphanumeric nomenclature, bringing back the Polo name, a striking shift from their earlier strategy, and a move many believe is required.
It's a perfectly reasonable strategy for them to use. They've decided to backpedal and reinvent, go back to their core, reinvent that strong brand image card they have, that Joker card, if you like, and injecting some of those glory years of yesteryear.
But to understand why Volkswagen brought in the ID, or intelligent design language, to begin with, we need to travel back to 2015. Tesla was reshaping how people viewed electromobility. China was rapidly transitioning to new energy vehicles. And Dieselgate had devastated Volkswagen's reputation, one built on engineering excellence and trust. To mark a departure from the scandal, they rapidly rebranded, and the fallout extended beyond just the Volkswagen brand. They closed down their enormously successful World Rally Championship program, where the Polo WRC dominated, and Audi pulled out of Le Mans, where their diesel engines had made a mark over the years.
They were simply forced into pivot to reinvent their brand image as quickly as possible, kind of focus their attention away from Dieselgate and to a new, greener, leaner future. They did it very fast, but one could again argue that they've kind of slightly disintegrated their brand image, which is one of their trump cards, their brand DNA, brand equity card.
Despite the so-called brand erosion, the Volkswagen Group still delivered nearly 9 million vehicles globally in 2025 and remains one of the largest automakers in the world. But beneath that scale, major structural pressures are becoming increasingly visible. Operating profit fell sharply. Deliveries in North America declined by 10%. China declined by 8%. And Volkswagen said the direct and indirect effects of U.S. tariffs amounted to billions across the group.
2025 was another complex year for the entire automotive industry. Geopolitical tensions, US import tariffs, volatile markets, intensifying competition. At the same time, regulatory pressure, especially in Europe, continued to increase.
In this environment, the Volkswagen Group still managed to become Europe's largest EV seller in 2025, with battery electric deliveries in Europe rising 66% and the company reaching a 27% EV market share. The ID.7 even emerged as one of Germany's strongest-selling EVs. But even voices from within Volkswagen are clear that the automotive world order is no longer the same.
The global framework is undergoing a fundamental rearrangement. Familiar certainties are disintegrating. Our business model of past decades no longer works.
At the forefront of a reshuffled automotive world order, China. For decades, Volkswagen had been deeply aspirational in the region. German engineering carried enormous prestige. The car that became synonymous with VW in China, the Santana, a machine that became part of the country's modernization story. It was a car that helped foster trust and drove home the message that VWs were reliable.
I think Volkswagen could slap a logo onto a vehicle and sell it pretty well. Their local partnerships with SAIC and FAW seem to be, productive. But in Volkswagen Group was printing money in the China market for several years.
And just as Volkswagen had become important to China, the country transformed into its most significant market. VW topped Chinese sales charts consistently, relying on a robust financial performance in the region. But in 2023, BYD dethroned it. The writing on the wall was clear. While VW had been part of China's modernization, it was lagging behind as the country raced towards a tech-heavy, software-defined future. There was a time when thinking of smart VWs conjured up these images in one's mind. But Herbie never broke free from the silver screen into the real world.
Legacy car companies have been bringing analog toys to digital parties. The initial Volkswagens, the ID.3s and the ID.4s, were not great. It was easy to tell that Volkswagen was out of its depth when it came to software and user experience design, user interaction for the front consoles.
For younger Chinese consumers, cars were becoming more than just a means of transportation. They were an extension of their digital lives. And increasingly, software mattered just as much as engineering. Chinese manufacturers understood this early and moved rapidly to meet those expectations. And a generational shift in how Volkswagen and European car brands were perceived in China became apparent.
People born after 1990 in China are considered digital natives. And so they're used to having mobile phones, they're used to having Didi, WeChat. And so it's the Chinese domestic brands that offer them the most robust services and the most robust products, not the foreign brands, whereas their parents only trusted foreign brands, the kids began to really trust and embrace Chinese domestic brands.
And software proved to be one of Volkswagen's biggest challenges. The company established Cariad, its dedicated software division, with the goal of developing the digital backbone that would underpin future Volkswagen Group vehicles. The ambition was enormous. The execution proved considerably more difficult.
VW weren't known as software developers. And it was a very steep learning curve, which was a problem for VW because it kind of stained their brand when they were starting to introduce the Cariad software.
What car people are used to is that they're focusing on the product. What tech companies are used to is focusing on the user. And again, this is a culture thing. This is a mindset thing.
Recognizing that it couldn't solve every challenge internally, Volkswagen began looking outward. In 2023, VW invested roughly $700 million to buy a nearly 5% stake in Chinese EV maker Xpeng and formed a strategic technology partnership. Together, the two companies are developing China-specific smart electric vehicles and sharing expertise in areas such as software and vehicle architecture. Volkswagen hopes this in China for China strategy will help it close the technology gap with local competitors and regain ground in its most important market. The first models have already begun rolling off factory floors, with more to come. The agreement paves the way for deeper strategic collaboration and technology transfer in the future. And in some ways, it echoes VW's initial foray into China way back in 1984, where it joined hands with Chinese manufacturer SAIC, the start of its success story in the country.
My opinion is that in order for a foreign legacy to survive in the China market, not even thrive, not even grow, just survive, they need Chinese partners to help them on the technology side and on the design side and on the software development side. And that's what we're seeing happen.
It's a similar situation in the US, where VW has invested billions in the American EV maker Rivian, which takes us back in time. Volkswagen's popularity in the US began with the Volkswagen Beetle, and it only got stronger with the Type 2, the Volkswagen microbus or the hippie bus, a vehicle that became synonymous with the counterculture movement of the 1960s and represented freedom, individuality, and adventure. But today's American market looks very different.
The vehicles that tend to sell well in the United States, the pickup trucks, the large SUVs, Volkswagen products have not, well, they don't have a pickup. That's first of all. So they're missing an opportunity there.
Volkswagen has enjoyed some success with vehicles like the Atlas SUV, but the company has never dominated the American market the way it has parts of Europe or China. And in the electric era, the challenge has become even greater. While the ID.7 was ultimately shelved for the US market, Volkswagen even paused production of the ID.4 at its Chattanooga plant. At the same time, tariffs have added another layer of stress.
Operating profit reached 6.8 billion euros compared to 7 billion in the previous year. Return on sales, however, declined by 0.3 percentage points year over year. So some of you may ask, how can we say we are on track with a lower return? And my transparent answer, without the special effects and the unforeseen US import tariffs in 2025, our financial performance would have been on track.
VW's attempt to capture the American market now partly rests on Scout, a revived American off-road brand tailored to local tastes that it hopes will give it a shot in the arm. But the broader challenge remains. China wants software-defined EVs, Europe is tightening emissions regulations, and America seems focused on large SUVs and pickup trucks. There is no longer a single global strategy that works everywhere. And this crisis isn't just about Volkswagen, it's about Germany. Few companies are as closely tied to German industry as VW. The state of Lower Saxony remains one of its largest shareholders. Entire regions depend on its factories. For decades, Volkswagen symbolized German manufacturing strength and industrial confidence. And this isn't the first time the company has experimented with new technologies. Long before EVs became mainstream, Volkswagen was testing electric Golfs and even battery swapping concepts based on its microbus or transporter. Crisis and innovation have often gone hand in hand in the company's history. But the challenges today are different. Germany faces high labor costs, high energy prices, and increasing competition from abroad. The group has announced major restructuring measures. Factories are under pressure, jobs are under threat, and difficult decisions are increasingly unavoidable.
Now is the time for VW to restructure themselves, and it's almost a case of the house is on fire.
And it's a challenge the VW brand intends to face head-on.
2025 was not only about product improvements. It was also the year we reset our strategic foundation. With Boost 2030, we launched the largest strategy initiative in the brand's history. Our ambition is clear: Volkswagen will become the world's technologically leading volume manufacturer by 2030.
Part of achieving this goal involves future technologies, but it also involves the strategy VW has already begun pursuing as it returns to its roots, brings in affordable cars, and reconnects with its legacy.
When manufacturers such as Tesla were entering the market, legacy was often identified as a negative and old and slow. And going forward, it's all about established manufacturers using that legacy, leveraging it, and using it to move forward and competing with the new manufacturers, saying we have this brand story.
Volkswagen's greatest successes have often come when it understood exactly what it stood for. Cars that were recognizably VWs, were affordable for the people and connected with millions of buyers around the world. And now it seems legacy is no longer a liability. VW's history with cars like the Beetle, the Golf, the Polo, and the microbus could help it reconnect with consumers the world over. But can legacy still sell cars in an era increasingly defined by software, artificial intelligence, and rapid technological change? Perhaps the answer is yes, but only if everything else evolves too. What do you think? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Rev.